The 2018 US Open starts next week, which means there will surely be controversy about course setup and scoring. The Open returns to a classic in Shinnecock Hills in New York after 2 of the last 3 were played at non-traditional courses in Chambers Bay and Erin Hills. The USGA has narrowed the fairways at Shinnecock, but kept them wider than they were the last time a U.S. Open was played there in 2004. Phil Mickelson, who visited the property last week and is doing so again this week, thinks Shinnecock will actually be a terrific setup from the USGA. Can't get enough golf. Subscribe to The First Cut with Kyle Porter, where we take a weekly look at everything in the world of golf. Was there last week. I think it's the greatest setup I've seen in a US Open, Mickelson said at the Memorial Tournament last week. I think that the fairways are a very fair width, the rough is brutal, it will be as penalizing as a hazard, trying to just get it back to the fairway. But the fairways are so wide that a well-struck shot ends up in the fairway. It's not like in the past where you could hit a great drive, get a bad bounce, and you have no lie. A lot of times on modern-day courses you make it fairway, the ball runs 20 yards away and then goes in the rough. But at Shinnecock, it goes away from the hole, but it stays in the fairway and have you a shot. It's a difficult shot, but you have a shot. So skill is brought into play with the short game there. I think that this year's US Open is the greatest setup going and that I have seen in my 25-whatever years of playing the US Open. I think that it will reward the best player as opposed to having luck be a big element on some of the bounces in the fairway, bounces around the green, how it comes out of the rough. Skill is going to be the primary factor this week. It's a tremendous setup that I've seen. For somebody like Mickelson to praise a course like that is a big deal. However, he warned that the USGA could get crazy with it too. This is something fellow major winner Rory McIlroy also said was a concern. After Brooks Koepka shot 16 under 272 last year at Erin Hills, the USGA is not likely going to be thrilled about a low number winning their event again. I think the USGA thinks that we're better than we actually are, McIlroy said. I think they overthink it. I think that, and I don't want to single out Mike Davis here. I think it's a collective thought process. We were talking about this yesterday. I don't think it should be as much of an exact science to set up golf course as it is. I mean, get the fairway sort of firm, grow the rough, put the pins in some tough locations, but fair, and go let us play. It's been a very reactionary few years to what happened at Chambers Bay, to Oakmont. Because I think they felt Erin Hills was going to be similar to Chambers Bay, so they soaked it and made it really wide, and all of a sudden 16 under par wins again, and they're like, what just happened? So I think they have to take previous results out of their head and just say, okay, let's set up this golf course as best as we can and just let the guys go play. In fact, they've already been reactionary. I do not pretend to be well-versed in course architecture, but the takes of those who are around US Open time are always fascinating. This piece by Guy Yoakum on what Shinnecock was and has become, and that loads of fescue was recently added to narrow fairways right after last year's US Open, is downright fascinating. Shinnecock is unique. Playing to a par of 70, the course at its best is stark, mostly exposed and a bit wild. In midsummer, a gold and pale green throwback to seaside golf at its most original. Its fairways, no two of which run parallel, are a mix of flattish bending runs and subtle roller coasters. Its many bunkers, some there for beauty but most strategically positioned, are a little evil. The course is sand-based and bouncy, naturally fast and firm, and almost always wind-swept. Its 4 par 3s are staggeringly diverse. As a US Open test, it is insanely hard but fair. Looking down from the incredible Stanford White Clubhouse, which summons images from a PG Wodehouse golf story, you see a course that is rough around the edges but pure within. Everything about it conveys a sort of frugal opulence, much like the old-world legacy individuals you might encounter on New York's eastern Long Island. The design, timeless and fiendishly creative, defies attempts by the player to overwhelm it. Get out of line, and Shinnecock, like an 1890s parochial school headmaster, will take a ruler to your knuckles. I'm excited about a U.S. Open at a top 10 course in the U.S. Excited for the USGA to get it right. Excited to see an elite winner in the greatest cauldron, par be damned. Ultimately Mickelson agreed with McIlroy in a roundabout way, and hopefully the USGA does too. The old trope that the USGA wants even par to win should be crushed and thrown out. If the USGA understands that and lets a classic course be a classic course, we could be in for a classic event. I think that to make a golf course where even par is a great score with the players today and the talent level, the skill level, the equipment, and so forth, you would have to cross over that line of fair, Mickelson said. 5 or 6 under is kind of like that line of where a very fair and hard golf course is. I think we're going to see that.